Hey, everybody.
Hey,
Hey,
Amanda is back.
I'm
Amanda Hug and
back.
Kiss.
Yeah, it's been a
Yes,
month.
I know. Welcome to We Don't Know Things.
We
I'm
don't.
so excited to hear about your trip.
Oh, yeah. So we can start off with that. So I left Friday, June 21st. I spent a week in southern Italy in the region of Puglia, which is kind of like right in the heel of the boot of the
Mhm.
country. And then my uncle moved to Portugal about 2 years ago. So on my way back home, I stopped off for about 3 days in Portugal to see him. And yeah, it was Italy. That was my third time going back to the country. And this
Wow.
was a brand new area of the country that I had never been to before. So for all of our two viewers out there, 20 years ago, I lived and studied in Florence. And so
Right.
I traveled pretty extensively the Italian countryside, but also a lot throughout Europe when I was there. This was one part that I never made it to.
Okay.
And so it was nice being in this region. It's not a heavily American touristed area, which was very different to see. Um, things were a lot cheaper there.
Nice.
Yeah, so, like, we got an incredible, coffee drinks for, like, €1, and right now with the exchange rate, it's virtually 1 to 1. So,
Wow.
yeah. So, I mean, I got a steak for, like, $15
Wow.
and
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing, and just I again hadn't been to that side of the country, and I love Italy. I love the people. The food is so good, and they actually do a really great job with gluten free.
Oh, wow.
And
That's kind
yeah,
of shocking to me.
exactly. Like it's very nationalistic as Italy can be. They want to retain kind of their identity, which is great. But on one hand, too, it's kind of like sometimes you can't find necessary alternatives. So I was really shocked even 10 years ago when I had gone there 9, 10 years ago. I started seeing a lot of gluten-free stuff, like even more so there than here. And I was like,
Wow.
that's kind of surprising.
Yeah.
So that was so nice to see because then you can still partake in so much of
Right.
their food. So we flew into Rome. So this was a group of us from my Pilates studio down here that we all went on a retreat, and we flew into
This time,
Rome. I'm sorry?
this time was?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we flew
I'm
into
trying to
Rome.
keep make sure that I can keep up with our two viewers. And just
Yes, I know,
yeah.
right? So please stop me at any time because I wanna
If
make
anybody
sure.
has any questions,
Yes.
any two of you,
Please just raise your hand. We'll be sure to get to you
yes,
and just
don't yell
and
out. There are too
name.
many of us to just yell things out. We need to make sure we're
Yeah.
respectful of everybody's time. Anyway, go ahead.
So we flew into Rome and then we had to take a train over to Bari, which is the main city in this region. So kind of think of the regions like states.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's a lot of how they're set up, right? Like in France, it's a province. They're just kind of a state.
Okay.
Like that's the equivalent. So kind of the capital of this region was Bari. Well, it was a 4.5, 5 hour train ride. So I
Oh,
was already on a flight for like 9.5 hours. Then I had to get on a train
you're a trooper. I would have
for
been like,
5 hours.
no, I'll
Well,
stand in my
I
room.
I will say this, had I mean, I knew about it, I just didn't really think in my head, like, how this was gonna work. I think it probably would have been better if we got into Rome and we stayed a day in Rome, and we
Right.
just did whatever in Rome. You could sightsee or fuck off,
Maybe roam
whatever.
around. Waka waka
Rome,
waka.
and then hopped on a train to go down to Bari and then kind of do the same thing on the way back, right? Like leave a
Right.
day early, have kind of bookend in Rome. I just
Yeah.
think it would have been less stressful for me For sure. And kind of going into this, just everything that has kind of happened in my life in the last year and a half, I was really I wanted to cancel and not go. And
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
I never felt like that before in my life. And I was really kind of like, you ever get to the point where you get so upset, like you don't want to go do something, but yet pragmatically in your head, you know you need to go do it. You know you need
Hmm.
to take part in it. And it's like this whirlwind of competing feelings and emotions,
Hmm.
and it just skyrockets your anxiety and it skyrockets your frustration, and it's a lot.
And it physically messes with you.
Oh my god, I was just gonna say that, like,
Yeah.
Wednesday, the day 2 days before, like, I was crying all day, I had heart palpitations, I have
You
never
wanted to poop
felt
your
that.
pants. I get it.
Yeah,
Like the stomach hurts. You
yeah,
start getting like, yeah, you're so
yeah,
nervous because you're like, what? And then you realize it's just because I'm freaking out about this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm freaking out about this, I'm just freaking about every other thing in life, this
Yeah.
was since Hendrix, my one cat, since I,
Hmm.
had to euthanize him 7 months ago, this was the first time that I've been on an extended vacation, leaving the
Right.
other 2, and all of course, every bad thing in the world that you can think of starts going through your
Yeah.
mind, and then, again, there's this pragmatic side that's like, no, you know the chances of that are so low. You've got it set up where you've got
Mhm.
good people coming in to check in. You've got fail safes there that if something happens, I've
Yeah.
got it set up, but it's like it's almost that wasn't enough for me. And I think having almost like 2 people inside of my head was just a
Fighting.
level of insanity that I've just not felt before. And
Oh
it
yeah.
really I really and then, of course, I just get angry and upset that, like, I'm feeling that this way, which only fuels and feeds into that.
Yeah.
It
It's a
just
vicious cycle because I
oh,
have
it's
the same issue with flying. If
oh
I
god,
know I have to
yeah.
fly anywhere ever, it starts months in advance where that
Mm,
anxiety is every day. Cause and then I have to like look up the stats on how like how often a plane actually crashes. Like that's how unreasonable it is because
yeah,
I have such a fear. So it kind of goes with what you're saying because it's like instead of me looking forward to doing
yeah,
something where I know I'm gonna have to fly, um, I I dread it. I dread it for every day up into the moment, and then on that day, I'm so sick and like exhausted from being so upset.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then by the time I get there, I just want to sleep wherever the place is.
Right, it's almost like you can't even enjoy once you're there,
Exactly.
and I am glad I went. I
Yeah.
knew like, my pragmatic and reasonable and logical side was like, "You need to go, you need to have this break, you have not had a break in for so long.
Yeah.
You need to go and do this," and then I did have a bad day. It was, like, halfway through, and I'm just so grateful that my Pilates instructor, like, she understood because she's gone through that herself, so I was incredibly grateful that she understood, gave me the space to just stay up in my room, which I
Oh,
did, and I just slept because I was just
good.
tired,
Yeah.
and, I didn't even the other ladies that we were with, like, I came down for dinner, and they were so happy that I could join them, and, of course, somebody's gonna ask, which is fine, but, of course, I dread that. I'm like, "I don't want somebody to ask me, what am I
Because then
gonna"
it makes it worse. Yeah.
Right, and so, but all I said was, I was just incredibly tired today, I'm not sure exactly what's going on, which in a way was kinda true. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm feeling insane in my head, and I don't know why, and
Insane in the
they just
membrane.
insane in the membrane. That was a great song. I
That
like
was a
that
good
song.
song.
I have that on my playlist. Yeah.
Oh.
By the way, that's Cypress Hill for all you 2 viewers. That was a '90s classic. Anyhow, back to my Italian story.
Yes, but I think we just dropped to one viewer. Just
Oh,
saying.
shit,
I'm
did
just kidding.
we? My story is boring. Like,
No,
I
no,
don't wanna
that's not what
listen
I
to
meant. That's not what I meant.
Oh,
I
really?
just no, it's not
Uh,
because yeah,
well, it kind
it
of
just
works
popped in
then.
my head because I'm like, oh, we only have two, but wouldn't it be funny if we only had one? I mean, not
I'm
so much funny as in embarrassing, but anyway,
right, right. I'm pretty sure it was technical difficulties on their part.
probably. I
Nothing
mean,
to do with us. We are
no,
wonderful,
I blame it on
intriguing
Wi-Fi.
people.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. I want to hear
Everybody
the
wants
rest.
to know our stories. Um, yeah, no, we stayed in this villa that was probably a half hour to 45 minutes outside of, Bari near this town called Terlizzi, and a portion of the villa was built in the 11th century.
Wow.
So that's 1,100 years ago,
Yeah,
kids.
I can't believe.
Or I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, but it's but
1,000 years ago.
I can't even believe the buildings are still standing.
I know, it's amazing, like, there's so many Roman ruins around that you just have to stop and think, and you're like, "I am literally standing in front of something that's 2,000 years old."
Yeah.
2,000 years old. And the main part of the house of the villa was built in the 15th and 16th centuries, so the 1400s and the 1500s, right? The Renaissance. And here's the cool thing about it is the road it sits on is the Appian Way. And if you're not familiar with what that is, during Roman time, the military did not have a highway to get from Rome on the west side of the country over to the east side of the country. So they basically made a road called the Appian Way. This was literally the road. Like, we walked out onto the road. We drove down the road that the Romans would march down.
Wow.
I mean, it's just mind-blowing when you stop and think about stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where it
you
came
know,
from, how it started.
how it started, the fact that, like, thousands of years later, you're literally walking out onto a road that the Roman, army would march down.
And it's quite amazing that what's the song? They paved paradise to put up a parking lot because that's
Oh,
totally
yeah.
America.
Yeah.
But like those places, like like you're talking about, they
It's still
reserve it,
incorporated. It's still incorporated into
and it's
everyday use.
reserved, and
Yeah.
it's kept together. Like here, we're just like that's old. Put a road on it,
Yeah.
build a city, but
Which is
they
hilarious.
maintain.
And it's hilarious too because it's not old. Like, it's, like, maybe 200 years old, and to us, that's like, "Oh my god, forever." But
Yeah,
to somebody over in Europe, that's like yesterday to
yeah.
them, a building that was 200 years old.
Well, and
And
also us, like think of our like just our society. We all have ADHD, so like as soon as a song comes out tomorrow, it's old to us. So yeah, they really it seems like there's a higher respect for historical things in other countries and the people that live there than it really is here. And I'm not bashing America, so back off, you one viewer. Um, but my point is, it seems like because my uncle has traveled all over the world his whole life, and it always seems like other countries try to maintain their history in the geography of their nations and stuff like that. And I don't why I feel like we get sick of shit so fast here that we're just like tear it down, make a new one.
well, I think too, if we stop and think, like, when America, 1776, we just celebrated our independence. I mean, that's not that long ago, and when you
In
start to think
comparison, yeah.
about all the technology that's happened in the last 250 years, like, of course, it's gonna turn over more
Right.
quickly, whereas if you look at Italy, you look at Spain, France, like, I think that's a lot of it has kept intact because they did not have such fast technology turnover.
Hmm.
Like, it was hundreds of years before Galileo figured out that the sun was like, the earth was not the center of the universe,
Right.
of ours. We're not, and the sun isn't. It was like we're a galaxy and everything. And so I
Yeah.
think it's just like when you start to think about that, how rapidly things have changed since America became a country, I don't think it's too surprising that we're constantly pushing things forward and maybe not necessarily having a reverence for historical buildings because it's just never been part of our culture, which I don't
Right.
think is neither good nor bad. It's just, I
That's
think
the way it
because it
is.
has been such a poignant portion of their culture, that history and the fact that they had the capability to maintain it, right? That they
Mhm.
just consistently lived in the same buildings and um those, I mean, those cities are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of
Yeah.
years old, yet they're still
Crazy.
living in them. You know, I mean,
Right.
it's nuts to us, but for them, I think maintaining that, not having a reason to advance it further, or really having the opportunity to
I
do
was
so.
gonna
I
say
just
maybe
don't
the
think
opportunity and
yeah. I just don't think
resources.
that they did, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then
Yeah.
not to mention too, World War II, man, they were fucking obliterated.
Yeah.
There was so much that they had to rebuild back from, and again, space. America has so much wide open space in comparison to these countries that they don't
Right.
have the ability to
Right.
build out. Portugal was crazy in the sense that, Italy, not all of their cities, some of their streets are just completely wackadoo just because it was just built up. And I mean, it was probably somebody's driveway to start,
Right. Right. Right.
put buildings on it, and then it became a road, and it's a road that, is like two people wide, and sometimes you can drive down them, sometimes you can't. And Portugal is even weirder than that, like at the end of a street, there's a fucking staircase. You're like, wait, what? You're like, when did this happen?
Right.
Because it's a legit street, so it shows up on
Right.
Google Maps, but Google
Mhm.
Maps does not alert you to, hey, this is actually a dead end.
At
There's
the end,
fucking
you're gonna have to
stairs.
climb some stairs to go to the city.
Exactly. But
That
yeah,
would suck here, and that city would never be visited. I'm
oh my
just
god, it
saying.
wouldn't. Yeah,
No.
it'd be
It
yeah.
would
People be like, "I'm sorry, I can't drive up the," or no,
be
you'd get
like,
people
"Is
that
there
would
a
drive up the
U-turn
stairs.
lane? Because I need to turn around."
Yeah.
Like, "No, I'm not doing stairs.
Yeah,
Where's
like,
McDonald's? Where's
yeah.
McDonald's?"
We'd have somebody driving up the stairs.
Mm.
You know
Oh,
that.
they
They'd
would
be like,
try.
"Fuck this, I'm
Yeah,
not turning around.
they would
I'm
try.
just gonna go up. It's 10 stairs. I can make it. It's fine."
Don't worry about my transmission. It's none of your business.
No,
Let's
it's
go.
fine.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go. By the way, if that transmission falls out, just do me a favor, put it in my trunk. We're good.
Roll me back down and get a good push
We're
so we
fine.
can make
We're
it back.
fine.
I'm not getting stuck here in this barbaric atmosphere.
The one thing I did notice, and I had to laugh about, because I really kind of thought maybe it was an American thing, just because Americans are just kind of aloof when we go to travel. It's a little bit egocentric.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But I was happy to see that anybody from any culture still cannot fucking board a plane correctly or
Oh.
deplane it. I'm just like, what the fuck about this is so hard?
Oh, you mean when
What?
everybody sits in the plane for 5 hours? Or
No,
what?
when you start to board the plane and
Mhm.
people are putting things in the overhead
Yeah.
bin, and it's like, you can't, there's nobody that ever just puts it up there and then takes a seat. It's like, well, I got to get this out, and then I've got to get
Right.
that out, and then
Right.
these fuckheads sit down, they're like, "Oh, I forgot something." So then they got to get back up. I'm like, "You can wait to get whatever the fuck it is that you need until
Right.
everybody has sat down." Why? Because this plane isn't fucking going anywhere until that happens. So
Right.
just throw your shit up there. And oh, by the way, since you were the one that, had a fucking firecracker up your ass that needed to be the first one to board the plane, you were sitting there in line for fucking 20 minutes. It didn't dawn on you to take the shit out of your bag to
Right.
start with, so you could just throw it in your seat, put your shit above, and take a seat. Like,
Not to mention that
that's
bitch is gonna
mind-blowing.
sit there the longest of anyone
Oh my
because they
god.
wanted to be first on. Like, I like to be last on. The least amount of time I have to
And
sit there while the
exactly.
plane isn't moving, I'm
Yes.
like, I don't need to be here early. I wanna board the plane when they're like, "Okay, we're closing the doors."
Last
Then I'll run
call.
in.
Yeah, we're going.
Yes,
We're
yeah.
in. I'm
I
here.
mean, my
Yes.
seat is assigned, so, I'll go when she's about to shut the door. I'll punch her if I need to, just to
Right.
get through the crack.
It's
No.
yeah, no, that shit
Like, I
just
need to be there 2 hours early so I can sit on the plane for 45 minutes before it even moves.
yes, please.
And when there's no air conditioning and it's just dry heat blowing on you.
You know what? These flights on the way home were so miserably cold. I think that's why
Mm,
I have a cold now,
mm.
is because it went from the dry heat air, it's like somebody just blasting ass in your face. Like it's like a giant fart on a plane that you're walking down and you're just cutting through the aisle. And then all of a sudden, like we're in the air and it's an Arctic blast. And I'm like, what
Hmm.
the hell is this? And I got caught, maybe it was about 10 years ago when I think I was flying to England. I was so fucking miserable on that flight that I was like, never again. I don't care if it's a heat wave here and I am dragging my ass into the airport because it's so hot. Like my shoes are melting. I am having a sweatshirt and I am having a
Wow.
fleece blanket on me because I was that miserable before. And I'm lucky I have followed through with that because I needed it on this flight. Like the
Wow.
poor guy sitting beside me had a hoodie. He had it up. He had the blanket that they give you, like wrapped
Wow.
around him. I mean, it was cold. I was surprised that my feet didn't get. Usually my feet turn like ice boxes and it's
Yeah, mine do too.
miserable. And
Yeah.
that's the one thing I forgot to pack was slippers. I usually bring the little socks with me because my feet get cold
With bunny
every
ears.
single time. Yes, yeah. And they light up too
Oh,
every
that's
time I
awesome.
walk.
Yeah. I mean, those are
Because
the least conspicuous, so
they
that
are. They
makes
are.
sense.
And I don't want anybody to see me walk into the bathroom in that. So yeah,
Right.
I want something that plays a little jingle too.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
make you feel fun.
If you're gonna be stuck on a plane for hours, you might as well.
You might as well
Um,
just have fun with that.
so
Yeah.
so was it warm when you got on the plane? Like, is it warm, their temperature equivalent to where you were to
So
where we are?
here's the funny thing. Kind of Portugal, Spain, Italy, they're about on the same line of latitude that we are.
Right.
There's not that much of a difference, but because they
Okay.
have a totally different jet stream, they have a totally different weather pattern,
Mhm.
and it's more like California wet weather that they get. So I lucked out on in both Portugal and Italy that it wasn't brutally hot because I've been in
Oh,
Rome when it's
good.
been like 95 degrees and you just want to shoot yourself in the face just because it's nothing but
Just for
concrete and
fun.
yeah,
Right.
just for fun. Because you're not having fun because like you literally just feel like you're melting. And it's just, I mean, again, Europe doesn't do a lot of central air conditioning. So you go
Mm.
into, luckily where we stayed the last time I went, we did have AC and we just came in and like spread eagle on the marble floors because it just laid there for 10 minutes just because we're like, oh my God, are we still alive? Are we
I'm
still like,
surprised that you didn't get arrested or hit on by several men
yeah,
or
right.
women.
Right? Like, and if and they could have taken advantage of me because I
And
wasn't
you would
gonna
have been like,
move. Like,
it's
I was just
fine.
like,
I'm
I don't
cooled up.
care.
Just do
I
it.
don't I don't
It's
care.
fine.
I
Just do
don't
it.
care. At
The
this
most action
point,
I've
I need
gotten in a year,
somebody to
so
take my shirt off. Like, just please,
it's fine.
please peel it off of me. Like it needs to come off. But
There's whipped cream over there also. Just, I
it's
mean,
fine.
while
Yeah,
you're
like
at
I'm
it.
not gonna put up a fight. Like you found me at a great time. I'm not gonna put up a fight.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but
Don't judge my toenails.
yeah,
It's fine.
exactly. Like, and my feet may stink, but hey, you're up here anyhow. It doesn't matter
Right.
unless
Everything's
you
gonna
have a
stink.
foot
I've been
fetish.
sweating. You've been warned.
Right. Unless you have a foot fetish, then that's all on you. I can't
I
promise
can-
anything.
yes.
But we had a really great breeze at the villa. The villa had a pool. So
Wow.
it
Did you
was
get in the
really,
pool?
yeah, I did get in the
Oh,
pool.
nice.
Yeah. It was really nice. I think it was because I don't know how many miles inland we were, but we got a really great breeze coming off of the Adriatic Sea. So, and it came that far inland. So it was really nice, especially like in the shade. It was gorgeous. I mean, it was warm, but you had this wonderful breeze come in. And then Portugal was actually cold when I got there. It wasn't getting anything above 68 degrees because come to
Okay.
find out, they had a sandstorm from the Sahara Desert in northern Africa that blew all the way up into Portugal.
Wow.
Yeah, I did not know that this happened, and so it
I
kind of drops their
Yeah, I would have never thought of
temperature.
that. Yeah.
I know, right? Like I know sandstorms happen, but I'm like, that's quite, I mean, you got to go across some water. You got to you got to
Yeah.
keep going to get up to
Right.
Portugal, but apparently it'll disrupt their weather a little bit.
Yeah.
It'll cool it down. So I was very lucky because from what I can tell from the weather this time of year, like Portugal is fucking hot, like 94 degrees on average. Now, the one
Wow.
difference there is they don't have the humidity like we have here. It's
That's
much
that. See,
drier.
I don't mind heat if it's not humid.
It's harder to stay hydrated that way, but it's
Mm,
yeah, it and my uncle lives out in the country, so when I flew into Lisbon, they're like 2 hours south
mm.
of the Lisbon area. And so
I
I
like
was
Lisbons and I like gays.
yeah. And
Waka waka waka.
Waka, we are full of shit dad jokes today.
I know.
All right.
Well, we meaning me. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know. I get
it
it
was
from
the royal we. It was the royal we.
yes.
But no, I think I'd like to go. I definitely am going to go back because my uncle's like, you can come back whenever and stay with us or whatever you want to do. But I do kind of want to stay in Lisbon the next time because the one thing I noticed was because we were so far out in the country, very similarly, how you're going to find in the States is like when you start to move outside of the bigger cities, you have less access to like gluten-free foods.
Oh,
And
okay.
Portugal was not
Right.
as good with it as Italy was.
Right.
So I had a harder time in the smaller, more rural areas trying to find things.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of wondering if I would have stayed in the more metropolis areas like Lisbon, or there's a further south is where a lot of the British expats live, called the Algarve. And I think if I would have stayed visited in there, I probably would have found more things, been able to
Right.
have, more options. But very different food, like pasta is not a thing in Portugal at all.
Wow.
Like rice and French fries showed up with every meal. I'm like, can we get more carbs? I
That's
just,
crazy. Yeah.
yeah,
French fries of all things.
I know there was someplace else, and I can't remember where I was at that French fries were a big thing too. It'll come to me. I want to say almost the Netherlands were the same way. Like French fries just showed up on everything. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
I mean, they are good.
They
So
are good. I mean, I'm not gonna lie.
yeah.
They are good.
I never get to eat them, but I like them.
Yeah, right,
I
right.
like them more than cookies, cakes, ice cream. I don't like sweets. I want some fries.
Yeah. I like the more savory things than
Me too.
yeah, I'm just like, just give
Yep.
me all of the fried goods.
Yep.
But
And
yeah,
then give
no,
me a bathroom that's
yeah,
close by.
yeah. But it was good. I'm glad I went.
Yeah.
When I
I was
returned,
hoping it was a good experience because I knew you were hesitant and kind
so
of
hesitant.
in a dread, but I'm glad it like except for the one day that you spoke about. I'm glad it was like overall a good experience and fun. Did your uncle like move there from here or always been there?
Yes, so he and his wife, so just a little bit of background. He is not my uncle by blood. He was married
Okay.
to my dad's sister, my aunt, but they
Okay.
divorced like 20 years ago, and they had been married for almost 30 years. So he was
Oh,
always
okay.
a really huge part of our lives growing
Yeah.
up. And he and his wife now, they've been married for 19 years, I think.
Wow. Okay.
So they met, actually, they lived in Detroit area. They met up
Really?
near Detroit, and then one of their jobs took them down to Texas. And
Okay.
so they were in Texas for like 10 years, and a lot of his family lived down in the Corpus Christi area.
Hmm.
And they just decided to leave during the pandemic. They moved 2 years ago,
Wow.
really because of the political situation. They were just tired of
Understandably.
how polarized everything was.
Yeah.
I think in general, like, I know his wife is definitely more on the progressive side. I think he's probably very, very center, maybe slightly to the left
Right.
socially. I but also I think it's just, I think they just got tired of everything being so polarized here, which I totally
Thank
get.
God it's
I
not
I
like
am
that
too.
anymore.
Oh no, not at all. Not this election season. Oh
It's
god.
perfect. I mean, thank goodness all that ended and things got great.
Yeah, and we have wonderful candidates up for presidential election. It's
Oh,
fully
yeah.
capable and I don't know.
Yes.
Jesus. But they are definitely happier over there because he was telling me too, and he's like, you honestly had to worry about somebody shooting your dog because you held a different political opinion than them.
Yeah.
And I was like, are you serious? Like, is this a real thing or is this just kind of like, an exaggeration of the
Right.
the the polarity? And he's like, no. He's like that was a legitimate concern of ours. And I'm like, okay, that's fucking sad. That's
Yeah.
fucking pathetic. Like that
Mm.
shit just like you would actually shoot a dog because somebody, you liked
Doesn't
Biden
agree with
and
you. Right.
yeah, they like Trump or vice versa. I'm just
Right.
like, are you fucking kidding me that that's what it would come down to? Like, is your life really like
Boring. You
that
have to be
fucking
super
boring?
bored
Yeah.
to focus on
I
something like that.
just yeah. So
I'm gonna
they
shoot their dog.
yeah, exactly. One step into my backyard and I'm gonna shoot him. It's so
America.
gross. It's so
Yeah.
gross. Like, and
Yeah.
I don't blame him for that. But also too, I think sometimes is I always have to pull back and draw back and say, yeah, I think we're in a very shitty time for American history politically,
Yeah.
and culturally too. I just think it's just things can always be better, but I just feel like we've taken 10 steps back.
Oh
I
yeah.
don't know when or where it happened, but it's just like I feel like we're just in a hole staring up half the time. Like, how the fuck are we going to get out of this? But when you look at the history of all those countries, they had some crazy fucking times
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Like
And relative. Yeah.
relative, it can happen anywhere, anytime, and you just don't know,
Right.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
And
And many times it was worse for others
yes,
than us. So I
yes,
mean, yes, this is a piece of shit show. Well, it's like a whole toilet full of shit show.
yeah.
But I it when relatively as you're saying, I agree. Like they all of the other countries, there's been a lot of shit that didn't happen here nearly as bad as what has happened in other places. So for that I'm thankful, and for that I was cooking the other day, and I was like, like I was just having a shitty day and I was just in a bad mood. Everything was pissing me off, even though nothing was really wrong, so to
Yeah.
speak. But I for some reason it like hit me, and I was like, I was born in the freest
Yeah.
nation, and I was like, there are a lot of people that have it way worse than I
Worse.
do, and here I am pissed off for I don't even know the reason. Well, that's like the stupidest reason to be pissed off.
Well, and I will say though, contextually, you have to keep that in mind of like because I totally understand where you're coming from, and I say that to myself too. Sometimes, like if you don't know what's making you upset, and there's other people out there that have it way worse than you, you don't have a right to be that upset. I'm very careful about not doing that to myself because what I find is it's shaming yourself when it's not needed because your brain only contextualizes what you know.
You
And
just
so
go ahead, but after this, I got to tell you, Jason said a phrase years ago to me about this exact thing. So keep going. I just don't want to forget it. It's exactly what you're saying.
yeah, so it's just like it's your world. And it doesn't mean that it's wrong or bad. It's just your brain contextualizes what you know. And so the minute you start fighting it, you're not processing it. And if you're
Right.
not processing it, you can't move through it. But go ahead and say what you were wanting to.
Well, you just reminded me of it, and I have to, I like, because I used to always tell Jason, and a lot of my family says this, that what I was just saying, like a lot of people have it worse, so
Yes.
we should think about that. And when you said I have to be careful about that, because there was one time Jason said, someone else's misfortune does not discount our own.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's so powerful. And I will never forget when he said that, because if you're right, if we're pissed off and we have a bad day because of whatever happened in our life, that's our perspective and that's what happened to us. And it's okay to be mad about that. We're not on the same playing field as somebody that may be in another country homeless and,
Right.
for other reasons. Like you said,
Right.
it's our world.
Right.
So yeah, you just kind of brought both of my perspectives into the same, and it made me remember Jason's statement.
I mean, I think that that's incredibly important because once you start to trauma shame yourself, like I said, you stop processing it, which
Yeah,
means you're never working through it.
yeah,
But to your point, the statement you made, I think it is also good to keep in mind of like, yeah, it could be way worse than what I have it now. So
yeah,
maybe that catapults you into that mindset of let's find something that I am grateful for. Let's
yeah,
let's find the good in this, and then maybe I can reframe and start to kind of push through that and not allow whatever the catalyst was that sent me down that road of anger, frustration, sadness have a grip on me.
yeah.
So to your point, I mean, they do play in the same space. I
It's a
think,
balance.
yeah, it very much is a balance.
It's a teeter-totter. Yeah.
Mhm. And I think so many times though, growing up, I mean, how many times did you hear, "You don't have anything to cry about. Do you want something to cry about? I'll give you
Right.
something to cry about."
Yeah.
And it's just
From
like, but
yeah.
why is what I'm feeling not good enough to cry about?
Not
You
valid.
know?
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not valid, and that can just lead to a whole like
Yeah.
sinkhole of just constantly questioning yourself and your existence and your experiences
Yeah.
and just, that just leads to a whole issue of not trusting yourself and what you're feeling and seeing, which that just has so many detrimental impacts to your life if you can't trust what you're feeling. And
Yeah.
so much of I know my
Sometimes I
issue.
just wish somebody would spank me when I'm crying to give me something to cry about, because I'm like, I would at least laugh and enjoy it a little bit.
Right. Especially when
Where's
you're
mom?
right, especially when you're confused at, like, why you're upset, why you're
Hmm.
sad, or why you're mad. You do want that, like,
Hmm. I need
complete
something.
I need something because it's easier to grab
Yeah.
on and hold on to that than this, like, existential fight in your fucking
Yeah.
head of,
And
like,
when a friend asks you like, "What's wrong? What's bothering you?" and you're like, I don't fucking know.
I
I don't
know.
know. I'm just in a bad mood and I want to cry."
Right.
But then it's like, what am I upset about? And you're like, am I just dumb? Like, why?
Yeah. Like, before I that Wednesday before I left, and I was just, like, pouring tears, like, every hour on the hour,
Right.
and I'm just like, "What the fuck is wrong with me? I don't understand," and I think
Hmm.
that's again, we talked about the vicious cycle of, like,
Yeah.
not knowing, not being able to put a face or a name to it. It's
Yeah.
that makes it so much worse because then you start to invalidate yourself because there's nothing there, yet there really is something there, you just haven't
You can't put
identified it.
you can't
Yeah.
define it. Yeah.
Yeah. Other than I
And
know I was
sometimes
talking
it's so many things. That's why you can't define it, because
that's why
it's
you
like,
can't define it, yeah.
you're like, oh, like brain's like a matrix.
Yeah, and it's like your brain is circuiting because
Yeah.
it's like overload, right? It's just like
Oh, oh.
yeah.
Yes. That is so
Yeah.
true.
And it is, and a lot of the times too, when you start to think about it, it's like, well, these things, like, they're making me feel the same way, but they're not even close to being the same issue.
Right.
Like, how
Yeah.
is that even
I know.
possible? And I was talking with another friend of mine. I was texting with her, and I was like, I don't know. I'm just sitting here bawling my fucking eyes out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to go, but yet I've paid so much money. I know I need to go,
Right.
and it's just I just know, like, things don't feel right. Things don't feel right inside,
Mhm.
and it's just I don't how do you even begin to address that? That's the problem I always run into is, like, I feel so much, so heavy that I can barely lift it, yet I can't identify it,
Right.
and I can't get away from it.
And using your metaphor, once you do lift it and you let it down, you're like, I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so weird. I'm the same way because I'm the same way with a lot of things. Like we have spoken before about like dreading doing something in the past on previous podcasts, and I'm going to see my family next week. Well, that's always dreadful to me because I know I'm going to be in a car for a long time, and I hate being in a car
Right.
driving all the way down there. And then once I get there, like I have the best time, and then I dread the whole drive
All
back.
driving back.
But
Yeah.
then when I'm back, I'm like, I'm so glad I went. I had so much fun.
Yes.
But a lot of the problem is before I even go, I've already started worrying about it, and it's not even till Wednesday. But I do it every year. Like I already like lose sleep on it and stuff like that because I'm like, what if we get in a wreck? What if we blow a tire and we're stranded in the
Yeah.
middle of an 8-hour drive somewhere and we have to wait hours, like or like what if the car breaks down? Just so many things that are like irrational. I mean, that's what I worry about instead of this is going to be so much fun. I can't wait for the road trip. Like I'm the opposite of that. I'm way over here on the negative side until I get there. And then
Oh,
I'm good. And then I have to let my body drain the amount of
decompress.
anxiety that
Yep.
has just built up for like days.
Oh, completely. And I wish that I had this sense of adventure and less anxiety that my 24-year-old
Yeah,
self had,
me too.
because I didn't think about these
Mm-mm.
things. And maybe
I
that's
drove a hoopty to Evansville to see my family in college. It
right.
was a hoopty, a 1986 Cutlass Supreme.
I remember
I
it.
mean, and that shit, like that could have broken down, but I didn't worry. I was just like, wee, you know. And now I have a car that has less than 30,000 miles on it, and I'm like, what if it breaks down?
Yeah, oh my god,
Like
I
it's
blow a
so
tire. I
right,
have AAA. I could call them, and it's like,
right,
what if they take forever? What if I'm
yeah,
there? Ba ba
right,
ba 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 ba, and it's
yes,
just like this
all
whole
the
fucking
things,
string of shit. And I'm just
yeah,
like, since when did I I shit myself on every
yes.
possibility that comes
When
up
did
in
it
taking a
shift?
trip? When
Right.
did it shift? Because I don't even, and I think that's what happens in life is like there's little tiny steps that you take along the way and you don't notice it until one day
You're
like
like,
you
holy
do start to
shit.
have those physical reactions like the
Yeah.
heart palpitation or
Yeah.
headaches or just like the constant you're in this grip, and then
Hmm.
you're like, when did I start fucking feeling like this?
Right.
When
It's like,
did this
when did
become a
I become
thing?
such a wimp
Yeah.
about all this? Like I
and,
used to,
and
like
it's
I was fine before. I never
exactly.
worried about it.
And I always have in my head, like, God, I wish I could embody, like, skipping into the airport, like, I'm so goddamn happy to be there, da, 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 da,
Yeah. Like,
like,
where's my ticket?
where's
Hey,
that hey, get through
blue
security,
skies
get
above
through
us. Put
security.
on
Yeah,
it.
exactly. You wanna see my shoes, TSA? Well, you can see my
Yes, you
shoes. I
can.
like my shoes.
They're
My
beautiful, aren't
shoes.
they?
Yeah, it's like, "That's okay. We got a
Right.
half hour in security. I can dance. I
That's
can dance.
fine.
I'll sing a
Put
tune.
on some
We'll make
music.
jokes. I'll make
Yeah.
friends with the people around
Right.
me."
Now
Now
it's like,
yeah.
I
Oh,
gotta like
I have
take my shoes
TSA
off.
pre-check so I don't have to deal with any of
Yeah, and Jason has that too now because it's so much better.
oh,
Like I don't even go into the airport because I'm like, "No, I'm not dying today. Bye."
yeah, it's so much a delight. Like, I think it's just partly getting older too, of just
Yeah.
like, where you want to spend your time, where you want to waste your time, where
Right.
you do not. But I really do. I wish, like, in my head, I could just skip into that motherfucking airport just as light as air, ready to fucking go,
Yeah.
just damn, goddamn, get me on that plane. I wish I was there yesterday.
Yeah.
But I knew getting ready for it, especially with work, it's like you always know the week before you leave, it's going to be a little bit more intense because you're trying to tie up loose
Yeah.
ends, you're trying to give instruction for all the open items, et cetera, et cetera. But
Yeah.
this time around was just like I started having heart palpitations because I was so anxious. I was so just completely overwhelmed. Like I have never felt like that before. And I knew now I knew then that when I returned, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to start getting this under control. I'm going to have to start finding somebody else to work with because I don't want to feel this way for the rest of my fucking life. I don't
Yeah.
want this chain around me. I don't want this
Mhm.
cage around me.
And for it to
Yes.
progressively be worse.
Yeah, I don't want it to continue to go downhill to the point like I'm hyperventilating as
Right.
I'm walking through the metal detector. Don't mind me, kids. I'm just gonna take
Right.
a face, I'm
Yeah.
just gonna take a face plant right into the fucking guardrail there at the security. It's just like I
Or
got
breathe into a bag just to go down the street to McDonald's. Like, I have to leave my home.
yeah. Oh my god. Oh my god.
I'm so hungry. You know what? I don't need to eat today.
Yeah,
Forget it.
forget it, forget it, forget it. There's some Cheerios, they're stale, it's
They're fine.
fine.
It's fine.
I don't
Throw
even
some
care.
cheese on them.
Yeah,
McDonald's. It's just the same. It's exactly the same. So
it's exactly the same,
it
yeah.
tastes the same. It's fine. I
Yeah.
don't want to leave my home. I'm scared.
Oh my god, no, I think I'm so glad I went. I
Yeah.
was, it had been such a long time since I saw my uncle. I'm glad I got to see him. You know what? I know I'm home for a while now. I don't want to
Yeah.
see the inside of a plane for quite some time.
Right.
Um, at least on an international flight. Like I'm definitely grounded
Or a
internationally
train because you
or
were
a
on that for 5 hours.
yeah, oh my god. And so I just think that like that's fine. I did it. I know I'm here for at least a year. I don't want to go anywhere internationally for a bit.
Right.
Like, because I went to Scotland last year in February because a friend of mine was
Right.
getting married over there. And I don't remember feeling this crazy.
Right.
So something definitely has happened.
Happened. Yeah. You've
Yeah,
had a lot of traumatic things happen though
it
since,
did.
yeah.
I did.
And
Yeah.
I
And I
think they all snowball.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, and I think you kind of layer into how we were talking to in the last couple of episodes, we've brought up the concept of college and just having to choose what you want to do for the rest of your life at 18 being complete and utter fucking bullshit.
Right.
But then getting to the, doing everything that you were instructed to do, everything that you were taught that you should do, that you should want, that you should aim for, and then realizing that's just not in line with anything that makes you happy. And then like my biggest problem right now is who am I? Like
Right.
what is it do I even like? And then you talk about being pissed and frustrated and getting in a vicious cycle. It's like, well, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I like because I've done all these things that I was taught to do and like and want and should and could and would and blah blah blah. I can't even tell you who I am. I can't even tell you those things that make me happy because I don't even fucking know that anymore.
Right.
And then I get so mad. I'm like, God damn it, for 20 years, I fucking erased myself. I
Yeah.
erased myself.
Yeah.
And
And you
now,
almost feel like you've wasted time on
yes,
trying to be something that everybody else
wanted
wanted
you to
you to
be.
or expected you to be. And then you're like, that's not me at all. And I have friends that are like, you never go and do that much anymore. And I feel like something's wrong. And I'm like, no, I'm actually just fucking being honest with myself. Like now I'm okay with
Yes.
who I am now. I wasn't before because I was trying to please everyone.
Yes.
And now I don't have a shit. There couldn't be a better word to say how much I don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. Like, this is what I'm doing. And if it hurts your feelings, you have other friends. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simple as that.
We have our two fans. We've met quota.
One.
Oh, one.
I'm
Sorry.
just kidding. And that's just me.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
I'm kidding.
oh my
I don't
God.
even know how many people watch this shit. I should look at the stats. I know a lot of people were watching it for a while. We had 127 views on one of them. And I was like,
It was
what?
probably just us
Watching it over and over again. Oh, by the way, speaking of watching an episode, did you watch when KP was on? He gave you a whole tribute at the end.
I
He's like, you are
know.
my spirit animal.
That was
And then last week he goes, no podcast. Where's Amanda? And I'm like, no, she's in Italy.
I did. I saw that, and it just made my heart so warm. It just made me feel so good. So thank you, KP. That was like such a wonderful tribute to me that I was like not expecting. And
Me,
like
I had no idea.
I
I
didn't
was having
know.
computer issues. So I was
Yeah,
like,
and it's like you always want to have an impact on people, a good
Yeah.
impact. And I've always wanted anybody that's come in to my sphere, met me, I guess even
we're
virtually
not.
too.
This is a PG episode. We don't need to talk about who came in your sphere.
Oh, sorry. There was protection involved. It's okay. We're all
Well,
good.
good. Anyway, I'm just dad jokes. Waka waka.
But you always want. I always want to make people feel good about themselves and have a good. What are you I know there's another shit dad joke in there somewhere. Exactly.
I want to make people feel good.
I want to make people feel good. Yeah, shut
No,
it down.
I'm so sorry. Go
Shut
ahead.
it down. Shut it down.
I can't. It's
But
so funny. I haven't talked to you forever, so it's all coming.
I know,
out.
it's like,
It's
oh my
like
God,
vomit.
I gotta-
Thoughts
yeah.
of vomit.
I gotta be.
vomiting thoughts.
I gotta be a 15-year-old now.
I
in
know.
the comment section.
Anyway.
But
Yes, I
anyhow,
know,
no,
yeah.
that was so sweet. And I thought it was interesting. I caught the part too about how he retired. He went over to South Asia, I
Mhm.
believe, and then that's how he met his
Yeah.
partner.
Isn't
Yeah,
that
I was just
crazy?
like, when he was telling that story at the end, I was like, oh my God, that's like the cutest story ever. And then I was like, fuck you, KP, for having the Hollywood romance story. Like, God damn it, that is a screenplay, you little fucker. Like,
You're like, I travel the world all the time and I haven't met anybody. Goddamn.
yeah, I've been to Italy 3 times and I can't meet my Italian stallion. Are you fucking kidding me right now? God damn it. I get the B script. The
Yes.
B movie script. And fucking KP over here has like the Oscar winning, rom-com.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
It's right.
You bastard. But I love you.
I was like,
KP.
that is so sweet.
I know.
I'm like, I met somebody in a bar, like just in the other state. I didn't have to fly around the country and just randomly meet somebody that's wonderful. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I did meet somebody wonderful, but it wasn't all that. I love how he called out that Jason and I met at a family reunion. Because if you watch it, I'm like, because I didn't know where he was going with that. So I was like, I shook my head. I was like confused in the moment. And then he said, because you guys look so much alike. I was like, no, we didn't meet at a family. I was just in my head, like so confused. But he told it so well that I was like, oh, I get it. Funny guy.
Funny. Yeah. Oh my God. But no, he lives up there, right?
He lives in Philadelphia, I think he said.
Oh, that's right. Right. That's what he said. Yeah. Okay.
They lived somewhere south. Where did he live south? And then they moved to Philadelphia. I can't remember. I mean, because I told him, I was like, you guys travel so much, I never remember where you actually live.
Right.
Because they're always somewhere else. But,
are they?
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Well, that was so sweet of him to give that tribute at the very end. And
I know.
I feel so humbled that, somebody feels that way about me.
There are a lot more people than you know.
It's like I'm kind of an acquired taste, and that's okay.
That's true.
Totally fine. But that was so sweet of him, and definitely hope we all can connect one day. I think that would be an incredibly fun. Yeah.
Because we could have all 3 of us, or even he and his partner could be on it. I can have up to 10 people in a podcast at a time, which I'm never going to do that. That would be a shit show.
Right.
But it would be fun to have him on here with you, and then we could all just shoot the shit because he's snarky like I am and like you are.
Yes. So. Snarkiness. I mean, there's no other way to live. So.
No.
But.
It's the best.
Well, we're at like about 55 minutes, so it's probably time to sign off.
Time to wrap it on up.
Let our people get back to their life. Woo! Oh my god, these dad jokes are like terrible today.
I blame it on Jason. Because as I get older, I hate his dad jokes, and now I see myself doing it all the time, and I'm like, I've become that person now. But yeah, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Yes,
We
thank
don't know
you.
things, and welcome back, Amanda. Hug
Thank you.
and kiss.
Hug and kiss.
Hey.
And we'll be back in 2 weeks. So again, if there's specific topics that y'all too want to hear about, we'll be sure to hit them.
We will.
Hit 'em.
We will. We hit a lot of topics on this one. It was good stuff. It was good. We always have good ones.
It always
It
is.
just
Yeah.
flows out of us like, well, that's another
Yeah.
dad joke and it happens.
Another
so I'm not
dad
gonna-
joke. Yeah. Yeah. Woo. Oh my
All
god.
right.
I'm gonna leave it because these dad jokes are gonna get bad.
I know.
We're done.
All right.
Kids.
It's
All
great
right,
to see
signing
you. I'll
off.
see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.